when the price drops a little bit, the negative sentiment rushes into the market. But looking at what's happening is really important, because I personally feel like a lot of people in the market, they just get shaken with a couple of news here and there. But I definitely believe the wait is getting close to the end. Now, why do I say that? You go look at what's happening and you can clearly see now the changes are there. I agree, but don't just panic looking at the change, but look at the value. And when you look at the value of that, you kind of understand like, okay, something is changing. And the change is not bad, because when you are looking at this, for me, I'm like, okay, there is something big happening. If there is like millions of BTC holders, most likely whales doing this, there is something like this possible. Now, this is not like $100,000 Bitcoin. It still is a move to the upside. Now, why is that possible in the market? Because the market right now shows a lot of positive indication, especially for Ripple, the company, and Xrp as an asset. This interview, if you haven't watched, you should watch how things were playing out inside that interview by Tony. Now, that actually gives you one idea clearly, like, okay, yes, governments are watching us. Now, why are they watching us? Because they do understand that it's a US-based company which is getting worldwide attention, and their swell event which is going to come up soon. Now, keep this in mind. They bring powerful guys and they give the talk, and they are here because there is a big reason for this. It's the payments industry. UK is actually looking to upgrade their payments industry. And they are looking to push their GDP by 3.8 billion. Now, the completion, what they are looking at is like 2026 to get this much. Now, one of the stuff you have to look at inside that and say is like, okay, yes, it's not only happening in UK. If you look at Singapore, Monetary Authority Singapore, that's MAS, is actually going for tokenization. So it's not only payments, it's also getting extended to tokenization. So if you are looking at tokenization using XRP Ledger, now that's something big. Now this one is really interesting. I really want to actually break down all of this and see like, okay, what's new? And I'm like, okay, markets kind of rhyme. If you are looking at the same and asking the same question, I would kind of, give a great shout out to Jamie for putting all this together, because that's worth the information. Because when you're looking through this, now you're looking like, okay, what the central banks are doing, how they hike the price, that's the rate, and then how does the market get hit. Now, yeah, you can compare it with dollar, you can compare it with what's happening with gold and then oil. Now, it all correlates, and then you look at the side of crypto and then the stock market. So stock market is dropping. If you remember when we came here to the resistance, I told we may actually drop. Now, the 200-day moving average is there, but we may even wick a little bit lower. That really is a significant drop for stocks, considering, if they can really drop 20% from the recent high, that is not good. But if you actually look at the last drop in stocks, it was similar, 20%. Right now, if you put that into perspective, like, okay, there is a possibility for 20% drop, we are halfway through that. So if you take this properly, it is really showing you something which is changing. What is changing? A lot of things are changing, but especially it's slowly turning out good for the market. Now, it's not just good. There are some bad news as well, which we all know it's showing in the market, right? And we are going to discuss through this. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. Now, we are going to break these down, right? So when you're looking at this is one of the stuff we all have to understand. That's why I actually showed you how things are evolving here. right? In a layman's perspective, this is the easy way. 62% of all Bitcoin addresses did not sell any BTC for a year or more. So they are liquid. They are not actually moving it. And people who are doing the same is increasing. And that increase is one of the largest increase in 8 weeks. So in last 2 months, when the price was going down, a lot of people are moving into this category where they are not even touching that. You get the point? So this kind of shows like, okay, it's not moving to exchange. It's not the majority is not moving to the exchange. The would be traders for sure who move to the exchange and move out. But now move out means to stable coin. If it's good to a fiat exchange, now they are exiting. But when you look at the macro scenario which is happening right now, I don't think that's a bad stuff. And say for those who are in Celsius, this is actually good. Now, the question comes like, okay, who's really going to actually acquire this institution or how this is going to be restructured? Because that kind of plays into this. Now, when you look at the general market, you do understand like, okay, there is a possibility we are going to bounce. Now, we are kind of, floating around that $20,000 mark in Bitcoin. And you kind of see like, okay, there are some coins which are dropping heavy. There are some which are moving higher. And consistently moving higher, because you see like, okay, these are coins maintaining 10% up in a market where we are slowing down. So that being said, when you go to look at XRP, this is something we all have to keep in mind. When we break a level to the upside, usually what happens is we come back lower to retest that. And right now you're getting that retest. Now, what's even more interesting for me is that it's trying to bounce off. So if you take this off and try to get a little bit more clarity there, you're looking like, okay, it was slowing down. There's one way of looking at it. And now it's breaking. Now, to be a little bit more conservative, you can plot it like this and say, okay, it's closing in on a breakout. I'm waiting for a breakout. Fine. So that means if this goes to the upside from here, that's a retest and bounce. So now that scenario becomes bullish. But when you look at the price correcting, not a lot of people can digest it on that way, because one thing is like, okay, you get a big candle to the downside. But remember, that's a 4-hour chart. It's a short-term pattern which you're looking at. It will be volatile. Now you're looking at your indicators, looking like, okay, it's still holding, it's trying to bounce off. So if that bounce happens inside this pattern, that actually kind of gives you a signal like, okay, something is happening, and you may go higher to test the moving average. Now, inside that, if you actually go into Bitcoin to compare with the altcoin market and how it's doing, Bitcoin is also in a similar area where we are looking at Bitcoin and saying like, okay, it just broke higher. If you are putting this one on a 4-hour, and it's coming back to retest this. So if Bitcoin again bounces from here, that definitely means a lot of altcoins are going to go with it. It's going to go higher. Now, when we say that, people ask like, no, you told the BTC dominance is about to drop or the altcoin dominance is about to run higher. I still stand on the same point, but the difference is I'm saying Bitcoin can go 5% to the upside and a lot of altcoins would do 10, 20, 30 or even 50%. Now, there would be people who can argue about a short-term chart, but I think most of us would be on the same page if we are looking at macro charts. So, I think weekly is something which actually gives you a great perspective. Here, either you can go with this wick high or you can go with the close here, but then you miss this one. Fine. So being super conservative, you push it up to this level where it was closed and you got that wick. So that's kind of like, okay, the maximum area where you closed, and right now you're breaking through that. So that's like, okay, 61% is alts now in the crypto market. Money is moving into altcoins. So if you understand this clearly, this is one of the biggest stuff for anyone who is in crypto. I don't know whether you are digesting it in that manner, but this is the zoomed out view where you are looking at the crypto market. What's happening here? Money is coming in to altcoins. Great. If you have a doubt, you go on and look at the BTC dominance from a long time horizon, and what you're looking at is it's dropping. It's not making a higher high, breaking this trend line. So that actually gives you one idea that when you break this level, you're going to drop heavy, and that drop is actually going to bring a lot of momentum in the altcoins. Fine. That's the momentum side of it. What are we looking at right now? It's a bull flag as we discussed last time. Fine. Now that bull in the dominance, if you convey that into the altcoin market itself, what can you see? Now this is a weekly chart, so it's really hard to get that noise in the market to see the fluctuation. So when you actually come into this is a daily chart. You can see like, okay, this is happening. You actually printed a bullish pattern. You're trying to break that to the upside. You do have to break through the 20-day moving average, which usually is the bullish signal. So if that happens in the market, now there's a daily chart, not ultra zoomed in, but still you can see like the market has a upside of 20% before first resistance, and then it does show you like a 60% of measured move. So, if you are looking at this, I'm like, okay, that really is actually a good thing, because a lot of other coins are actually going to run higher. It's not all coins are going to be same. Some of them is going to run much higher, but never get confused with this short-term fluctuation, because here 100% up in last 7 days and 100% down in last 1 year. So make sure you are doing the right thing, and make sure you're entering some way where the volume is present, because you not only want to get in, you also want to get out of the market. Right now, coming into one of our important stuff today, it's like, okay, there are bad things, but there is a lot of good stuffs happening in the market. Now, once all of this news comes out, it's like a lot of anticipation. So I personally think like, okay, these can be priced in because of the anticipation of what can come out as an announcement. But last time, we anticipated too much and we didn't get that much in terms of announcement, and the price dropped. Fine. Now let's go and look at this one. So Jamie is actually asking like, what drives the crypto market? Network adoption. Agreed. Now, how many of you sitting in front of this one is looking and saying, okay, Xrp does not have adoption? Now, it's up to you, but I don't think so. Now, what drives adoption? One is the intrinsic value, which is the technology itself. I don't think anyone would argue. Now, anyone who have taken the time to do the proper research about Xrp Ledger would even argue about this. Fine. Next is the external factors, which is macro. If you look at Xrp, it's the SEC case, which is actually slowing us down. We all understand that. Fine. So today, he's focusing here on the external, which is the macro. And here in this chart, he actually likes to actually showcase that how Federal Reserve pushes crypto market. So it's not only crypto market, it's risk on assets. So when you are like, okay, I'm going a little bit risky because I think the monetary policies are going to hit me, this is what you're looking at. See, Federal Reserve's total assets are increasing. That means they're printing a lot more money, buying assets from the market. So there's a lot of liquidity coming into the market. Then at this point, it slows down. What happens? Market bottoms. And it stays at the same level, meaning they are not printing more money and they're slowly starting to reduce it. People are scared. It's tightening a little by little. Market go higher. Great. That's a good trend. Now, when you are looking at this on the next one, this actually slows down. It goes down, meaning from this point, it's easing. It's easing in the sense that asset which is held by the Reserve Bank is being dumped into the market. So the supply increases for that asset class, the price goes down, and you can see like the asset prices are going down because it's risk on. So when you see like a lot of real estate is being dumped in the market, the price is going down, that happens. And at one point, you see like, okay, they're slowing down and they are slowly starting to increase the asset or the balance sheet and decides to pump it up. it's not directly getting showed up in the crypto market. If you look at the small fluctuation here, we started a little bit late. By the time this was over, we actually already had this. Why? The dump was getting too much and people were getting really scared. They didn't know where to go and they found crypto was one of the good place. Now take this idea and look at the current market scenario, the general market, and come here and look at like what's happening. Last 2 months, this has changed. That is why I'm saying it's really important. Now, at this moment, what you're looking at is something like this, right? You turned around and you're slowing down. So last time you stayed stable throughout and slowly reduced. Why? We were coming out of the great financial crisis and Federal Reserve cannot afford to push the economy back down. They had to, balance the economy one way or the other. And they tried to do that. But right now, what they are trying to do is with the inflation this high, they cannot manage to give free money. What they want is to kill the economy or reduce the demand side of it and reduce inflation. Fine. So for that, it's going to drop from here. So when it was dropping here, you see the initial slow grind down and the markets reacted. Here, the markets are already reacting and we are already dropping. So as we were slowing down here, it got in the market. So we know at one point, Fed has to go back and buy in more assets because the economy is now doomed, right? And before that, what happens? The max pain region in the market cycle, that's where it is moving up. So personally, I think that max pain in the economy is somewhere in next 6 months to 12 months. So next wave up should actually happen inside that or before that, say the average of 6 months, it should actually possibly be coming in. Now, moving on to the next one. He's actually highlighting here the BTC and US liquidity condition. So when there is a lot of liquidity, what does the market do? And when there is no liquidity, what's the market doing? So it actually goes back into that cycle where the market is crashing here. You already were in the downturn, but at one point the stock is continuing the drop. Crypto stopped. Look at the stock market right now. It's going to continue its drop and most likely crypto is holding. Great. Now you come back into this point and you're looking for like, okay, I get that point. How do investors look at this? If you listen to this, this guy is actually giving you a lot of different perspectives. One of which is actually the oil has been dropping. It usually gets into the economy after some time. We talked about that. So that's literally the next possibility. Fine. Now, at this moment, the liquidity is kind of really tied up with the crypto price. All the institutions who are looking at investing more money into crypto is actually really concerned about how much liquidity is available in the market. Fine. So before the max pain happens in the stock market, crypto is going to bottom and start moving up. And if you look at the stock market, I think like, okay, we are dropping. Now, don't say like, okay, we are going to go 100% down. If I'm looking at this, even that is like 30% drop. So you go back and look like, okay, this is Corona crisis crash. That's 35%. So I'm like, okay, this is more or less like we are coming somewhere close to a support. We may go into a consolidation because I don't think Fed is going to actually stop buying assets because historically speaking, we have seen they do buy that and they put more liquidity into the market. So at this point, if you are looking at this, last high was here. They already reached somewhere close to that. So there can be one more drop in the stock market and that's what we are looking at here. And afterwards, the dollar should slow down. And as the dollar slows down, now, if you are taking this, you can actually see like, okay, this is happening in all different markets. Now it's also going to come in to the crypto market. Crypto market is a market within the entire market, right? It's all common investors. You and me were in crypto. Don't you look at Forex? Don't you look at stocks? Yes, we do, right? Right now, a lot of stocks are bottoming out They're slowly starting to bounce. And as the economic situation is going to change with if Fed is going for a 50 basis point or 25 basis points hike, that can be one of the biggest case, which is bullish. Now, yeah, 50 basis points is really high concern historically speaking, but with this inflation, it's okay. But what if the inflation is super low? And here, Lee actually talks about one step saying when the inflation starts to drop, it tend to drop harder. Great. And with the oil prices coming down, you may see the producers' cost slowing down or at least not increasing like what we have seen before. This is going to come into the consumers and it's gonna go. But the stock market here, what you are looking at right now and the general economy, it is supposed to happen because Fed is hiking the rate. Why are they doing that? So that people don't have money to buy these stuff and push prices up. They don't want that to happen. And that's one of the general reason I'm saying if you are educated about the market, this is going to be a really good time for you to hold and buy more or waiting for a big run because you're mentally prepared for that. A lot of people right now are in a thought process of this or going to get laid off soon. So if you already have investments and you don't have to touch them for at least next 1 year, you are like, okay, fine, I'm trying to find liquidity, I'm managing not to touch it because I personally know next 6 to 12 months is going to be really hard for the economy. And historically speaking, that kind of push crypto prices up. If you're in the market right now, there's a lot of confusion. But I'm saying when you're in the market, be ready for that. Big guys are going to manipulate the market anyways. Be prepared mentally at least to see all this manipulation, the volatility when you are going through these markets and seeing like some random coin like boom. Make sure you also look at this. Yes, it went sky high, still the volume is this much. So you are like, okay, I'm not able to take my money out because when you're new to the market, those who are already here understand this. Look at this stuff and make sure you can take it out. Because the volume is 100% reliant on one area. You need to actually completely understand the market before you actually put the money in or before you even think about taking the money out. You need liquidity. So guys, if you're receiving value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.